the months, Ramadan can be any month of the year.
Correct.
So that's because their calendar just goes, it doesn't have the...
Yeah, they don't intercalate like the Jewish calendar, which is,
Yeah.
it keeps it fixed to the seasons. Yeah.
Well, it's part of the extraordinary...
Tapestry of Islamic life.
Well, just the fact that we could figure out that we got the information on how to calculate, and it's all, I mean, it all ultimately connects to Sefer Yetzirah, because Sefer Yetzirah is the months and
Yes.
which part of the year they come in. It's the astrological signs as well. So it's all of that was put in the 6 days of creation. All right, so Holy Brother Yaakov. So we are at I think another very interesting document. And what it is, basically, it's entitled, where's the English? למשמרת שבת וקדושתה, to the hold on, to the protecting of Shabbat and its holiness. And it's a statement. I just did some research, and they dated it to 1920, but I think Tzvi Yehuda is doing these in chronological order. So this has to be after the next one, which we know was the calling yeshiva was 21. So that's, they don't seem to have too many dates on the next coming ones. But one of them deals with something that we know exactly when it happened, so we can date it. But in every case, right now we're in like 1922, and Rav Kook is writing a letter. There seems to be a two-part, where the first part is addressed in the letter that he wrote in the secular newspapers. It seems to be just the second part. But let's do a quick review, and I'll show you what I mean.
You're there overnight, right?
But Karen, I guess, has to mute. Can I?
No, it's not me.
Oh, no? All right. See, because I'm using the computer thing, I can't mute so easily. All right. So it's to protect Mishmeret Shabbat and Kedusha. And let's read.
Yeah.
He said,
I don't hold you. I just wanted to, I was thinking about you and
It's Yaakov. Yeah, we can hear you.
yeah, okay, good. All right. So he said, we've been making an effort through the whole enterprise of Degel Yerushalayim and that whole effort to advance the recognition of the holiness of Shabbat among the circles which they're not into it. That sense of holiness of Shabbat has been ruined for them. And we see that even these people, they're friendly and courteous and now he's talking to the people who are he's addressing the Mishmeret Shabbat. The title of it was because there was a movement, an organization that was developing and starting to do its thing of religious Jews that called themselves Mishmeret Shabbat. And he says, you haven't had much results. And we see you've been making a great effort, and you're courteous and friendly, sensitive, warm-hearted. So you're doing it in a nice way. You're engaged in repairing the guarding of Shabbat in Yerushalayim. But the fact that there haven't been much results is also a lesson for us on how we need to educate the public of our people, generally, and especially the path that will lead our people to the goal of endearing holiness, the treasure of holiness, to our youth, and of bringing a living Ruach Chaim Shel Yahadut, a living Judaism, with the Hakara Nechona, with the proper understanding, into this collection kibbutz. And right at that time, most of the, if we take kibbutz literally, most of the kibbutzim were secular. But he's talking about the whole thing, the entire community of all the people, and especially young people, that are gathering from all over the world to our lands from the diaspora. And if we know that being friendly, a friendly word, an expression of love and respect, that we do, if we act in this way, this will bring closer to us these parts that we feel are so far away. If we know that, but we don't do it, then this is a sign that we're too frightened by this dread, this fearfulness that's coming about from this frightening conduct of some of these young immigrants in their attitude toward the holiness. And some of them, I can review some of the background, but there were people there that were publicly irreligious as a statement. There was that sort of attitude was also, that's what he's referring to, I think, that they did things outrageously irreligious to show that they're not being controlled by the religion. You know how young people can be and all that stuff. But so we see that a lot of them in their attitude towards Shabbat and everything sacred is frightening. But we cannot let our hearts weaken, our hands weaken, our hearts from walking this path of love and uprightness, yashar, integrity, with the light, with the path of good and integrity, in which the light of love and brotherly love, and re'ut, friendship, that we need to create that with the people in Israel and those young people. So you see how strong this is. This is a very strong statement, and very far-sighted. And no other rabbi. They were just trying to make sure they got to shul on time. And the fact that this is our experience, we learn a great truth, that even you see that a friendship can make a real impact. This teaches us a great lesson, that we can be really confident that the more we increase and we come close, drawing near to these circles of our youth, and the more we can know and have a penetrating understanding of the qualities of their souls and their idealistic consciences, to see that these are real idealists. They're much more idealistic than the regular religious. And the more we are concerned with their musari, ethical and material needs, the more will be revealed before them. The Chayei hagnuzim shel olamenu hapnimi will reveal to them the hidden life in our inner world, and which is a life dedicated to the divine and acting divinely and acting. This is what the average mystical Kabbalistic Jew is pursuing, idealistic enlightenment and betterment of the world, probably more committed more strongly than most people on planet Earth, because there's a certain level of Torah engagement when Rav Kook is a perfect example of that, where it's the entire being is about bringing the world to the Kedusha, or bringing the Kedusha to the world so we can fix the world. And once they get to know that that's who we are, and there are those of us who are like this, and there were many, well, they're going to be impressed. They'll notice that as well. If we see their goodness, they'll see our goodness. If we see their souls, they'll see our souls. And then Chayei HaKodesh, the holiness, the life of holiness will begin to flow within them in great manifestation. And let's just keep reading the English and then for where we left off. And according to the vigor of the life and according to the mighty energy of the noble aspirations in the hearts of these young people who are ascending to build the desolations of our land and are giving themselves over completely to the overall building, and she'ifut romemut shel tzedek ve'yosher lev, and real aspirations for justice and uprightness of heart. And here I want to show you, I guess this is like reasonable time. There was one explanation. Wait. Yeah, here, background. Okay, they were the laborers, the chalutzim, the laborers and so. But who were they? He said that the chalutzim were mostly young Jews, traded their prayer books for shovels, and their ideology was socialism, Marxism, Tolstoyism. They believed the old Jew was weak, overly religious. The new Jew should be secular, strong, laborer, connected to the soil. And some of them were rejectionists. Many of them were militantly secular. They often held Yom Kippur balls, Yom Kippur parties, feasts on the fast day. I guess that's what maybe they did a Yom Kippur thing in somewhere, and that got publicized, and then you can imagine the response. So, but they did this to show that they had broken free for what they saw of chains of radical religious tradition. And the rabbis were all freaking out, but Rav Kook believed their souls were actually very high. Their devotion to land, social justice, and to Israel, the Jewish people, that's a form of unconscious holiness. And they were building the body of the nation, but if they didn't reconnect to the soul of the nation, ultimately the body would wither, become dust. And the socialist connection, he argued that there's social justice, equality for women, fair wages, communal living in the kibbutz, wasn't a European invention. These are all in the Tanakh and the Shabbatical year in Tzedakah. You're trying to be socialist by copying Europe, but your own Torah is the ultimate source of justice. Why drink from a broken cistern when you can have the original well? And then he says that the tone is heartbroken, because it is. You can sort of hear you can hear the pain, because he truly loved them. He had visited in the visits to the Moshavim, their remote tents, and he danced with them, even if they didn't keep the Shabbat. So when he says the shame of this education has already gone out to the thing, he knows that a whole generation of children was being raised in kibbutzim without knowing a single word of the Shema or the history of their ancestors. So let's just keep going through this and then go back to the text. The pioneers saw religion as old ghetto. Rav Kook saw it as the energy source. Socialism as a new modern light. Rav Kook, socialism as a spark of the Torah's fire. The land is a refuge or a farm. The land is a temple being rebuilt. And that's the vision. He was presenting them and informing them that this is much larger and deeper and holier than you think, and opening up to that. And then, if once they start reading the Tanakh and so on, then it's they'll get it. Okay, hold on. So yes, that's what made it up, because he was the lofty aspect. And he's saying, according to their life power and their noble aspiration to build the desolation of our land, and to the extent that they're given over to lofty aspirations of justice and uprightness of heart, to that extent will grow Roshem Kinata Kodesh, the impression of a holy zeal for holiness, and the desire to lahashlim et atchiyah. They'll be open, they'll want to participate in a complete fulfillment of the Israelite vision, the rebirth of Israel. And the desire to complete the revival will grow in their spirit and in their work. And suddenly these irreligious children will suddenly rise and crown upon their great desire to build the land. They'll crown it with the eternal crown and splendor of the radiance of holiness. And the primary thing of Jewish public life is the Shabbat, because it's the sign of the higher life for the entire people of Israel. It's not one that we only keep individually. It's a collective experience in which we're all rising to the place that Shabbat invites us to. And therefore, that's the primary vehicle for bringing holiness into Israel in an actual way. And of course, that's those that are most rebellious against it. They feel they inside know that in a way. But that's for the entire nation. And here, let's keep going. This we did yesterday as well. We can just keep going. And we have to understand it's our feeling towards these secular brothers of ours who we are striving to draw near with open arms of brotherly love and with a real desire to penetrate into their souls and that are filled with the radiant splendor of noble holy longing. We want to touch that part of their soul. When he means penetrate, it means that we want to touch them, open that part in them. And because in those depths, they are radiant splendor souls with a noble holy longing. That's why they're doing what they're doing, rather than other things. And so it's actually a sign that in their inner beings, the depths of their souls, is the radiant splendor of noble holy longing, which is hidden beneath the youthful impetuousness and its distortions. And for many generations, where someone has come with weird actions and speeches, that it can bring about, hold on, I just want to get the right context here. Here's where he makes the really things. And just like so we have to have that attitude towards the secular. And then he says, so too, the same way that we have this deep feeling to touch the hearts, to touch the souls, and to bring forth with brotherly love, and to bring forth their deepest souls, their noble beings, well, and we understand history and things that made people do strange stuff over time. Well, this is also our feeling towards our Haredi brothers, our Achenu HaCharedim, to our brothers who go around with the fear to the Word of God, who fear the Word of God, and they are full of zeal of truth, kinat emet ve'umna. They got this religious zeal, but they express it not through love and gentleness and common respect. They express it b'tzura shel mistama ve'evat olam, in forms of hatred and eternal enmity. But it's coming from a very deep and piercing pain and piercing sorrow that's at the distressing sight of what they are seeing. And they can't handle it. Rav Kook has the perspective that he can see things like that and understand why it's happening among the universally holy children of Israel. So it sounds like they're unholy, or they've stepped out of the children of Israel. This is actually, as he's saying, some of them are doing more Israel work than the religious. So, but you frumies who are screaming and yelling and because of your fear of God, we also know that with you, under your mask, your shield of this hatred, ahavat olamim, you do have that universal love, that love for all of these people, achim b'tzara, to our brothers and sisters who are in distress, for the banim, the banot, for all the children that are building the land of our ancestors, dwells within your heart a deep love for them. He's pointing that out to them. I wonder how many. I mean, he had significant people around him who were understanding this and sharing it. It wasn't like he was a lone voice, but in terms of, I mean, he got an amazing circle of power, of the greatest intellects would obviously be drawn to Rav Kook simply because they wanted for the intellectual openings. And so the very serious intellectual religious Jews and so on that were part of that circle. But he's saying now, and the circle, this is still early. I mean, if this is 1921, 1922, the yeshiva hasn't started. But he's saying now, and this is the new part. And here, this part is addressed to the religious people. The next part here is what he put in the newspaper. But he's saying, Chovatenu hiu, and to the religious people that were freaking out and setting up like walls away from these secular rebels. He's addressing them. Chovatenu. So now he says, so what do we have to do? It is our obligation. Chovatenu. It's our obligation, and this is where we left off, lifrotz pratzot, to make breakthroughs, bechetz, in the barrier, hamavdil bein ach le'ach. Our duty is to break breaches in the wall that is separating brother from brother, lev lelev yidaber, and we need to speak heart to heart. Ve'neshama leshana, leneshama tabia omer, and as we speak to each other heart to heart, it's actually soul to soul comes to express itself. Heart may speak to heart, neshama leneshama tabia omer, and soul will express itself to soul through the language of the heart and the intellect. Vehadvarim, and our words, these words, betach yishmeu, will certainly be heard, be rav keshev, with great attentiveness. So they will be heard. And it's so sad to what extent this didn't become I mean, even you could say the Baal Tshuva movement certainly has some of this, but the Baal Tshuva movement, I know the American, the English-speaking Baal Tshuva movement, Zionism is not, they're not Zionists in the sense that, they think it's the highest ideal for each person there to go to join the army at some point in their lives and all that. It's the commitment is to Torah and mitzvot, wherever you do it. But he's saying, Hadvarim betach yishmeu berav keshev. He says, these words will be heard with great attentiveness. And then, ruach merumam yashuv lemechanenu be'eretz atchiyah. A elevated spirit will return to our encampment in the land of our revival, in the land of our renewal. An exalted spirit will return to our camp in the land of revival. Ruach na'aleh v'nisgav, a exalted, elevated spirit, asher ya'ached ke'echad, that will unite as one. Et hamazhirim, the ones that shine forth. Ve'et hanizharim is the ones that are shined upon. We shine forth, upon them. But the thing is, they're reading the words, because mazhirim could be translated in a few different ways. Et mazhirim ve'et nizharim. Yeah, but I don't see, it could still be. Nizarim, we're the ones that are telling people to be careful with the Shabbat. It's that sort of mazhirim. We're warning. Oh no. We're warning them and those that are being warned. So they'll hear it. It could be understood that way. Ve'hatchuna hazot krova hi lehigalot. And this quality of approaching the irreligious in all the ways he's been describing, which Mishmeret Shabbat was doing. So that's why he's still saying this quality that is now coming to be revealed. They were out doing this already. Lesimchatenu, lesimchat levavenu, to the joy, to our heart's joy. B'midah yedu'ah, in a known measure. They're doing quite a bit of it. Shetuchal lahasbi'a ratzon, that can satisfy ourselves in a certain way, in a certain measure may satisfy. Lahasbi'a ratzon behit'orerut. It lahasbi'a ratzon. It can be, we can feel like satisfied with what's going on, that it is a hitorerut shel tikva tova. It's awakening of some good hope. We see something hopeful awakening. Al yedei hatzaadim hanechonim v'musariim, through the proper and ethical steps, asher hechelu lalechet bahem, which they have started to go in them. Tovei hakochot adinim, those who are best, the very good of the refined powers in the people of Israel, ha'oskim, that are now engaged, be'emunata rabbah, with great faith, emunah rabbah, be'mif'alotea shel mishmeret Shabbat, in the activities and the work of the guardians of the Shabbat. It's really patting them on the back and pointing them. It's beautiful. I mean, it's so beautiful. And now he speaks to them, the coach. Titchazekna yadechem, may your hearts be, your hands be strengthened. Velibotechem titrachevna, and your hands will be strengthened, and your hearts will be expanded. Those of you, Yir'ei Hashem, you who fear God, you Yir'ei Hashem, you Charedim, may your hands be strengthened and your hearts broadened, you who fear God. Tehorei Lev, you are pure of heart. Hamitchaskim, that are working to strengthen Bekdushat Mishmeret Shabbat, to strengthen with the holiness of guarding the holiness, strengthening the holiness of Shabbat, Mishmeret Shabbat, Shabbat observance Eretz HaKodesh, in the Holy Land. Velechu hala, and go further, B'derech HaChaim Ba'ora, and go further in this way of life, in this way of light, B'derech HaAdinut, continue onward in the path of light, in the path of gentleness. והאחווה הנאמנה. That's with the derech ha'adinut, that you're going in the derech ha'adinut and with faithful brotherhood. The emana, achva ne'emana is faithful brotherhood. Ki sham, because it's there in that gentle path of light, life and light, in the gentle path, it's there. Sham tziva Hashem et habracha. That's where God commanded the blessing. That is where the blessing is to be found. And otherwise, we have religious battles and create sects and all that dangerous stuff, which, to whatever extent it's happened and happening, it's keeping the Geula away. So that's what he told them as they were beginning their path to go. And I think it was we're trying to find out more information about this group, but I think they were going neighbor to neighbor and inviting people to Shabbat and explaining and making Shabbat a beautiful thing and so on. And it was that sort of, it was friendly. That's obvious. He's so strong on that. They were obviously doing it really as friends. And he's giving him a huge pat on the back and a push forward. And so I really want to bless us so we can collectively, all the Israelites in the world, be in that harmony with each other in such a way that we can really feel the divine blessing of the ultimate full goodness of all existence will manifest for us. Very b'mehera b'yameinu v'nomar.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
You know, I don't want to say immediate. I do want to say immediately, but I know that's not realistic. So b'mehera b'yameinu is still, well, you know, it should, hopefully will. Because that is actually the good news here. Where Rav Kook is coming from is the understanding that the way this world is created, and that this is what the Torah is all about, when we human beings really live in our full, expressing our full divinity. Yeah, I think I said this before, but we can get to the power, through our speech, we can manifest things. We will have that sort of divine power because for the good. And you can imagine how much fun that can be if somebody is going down the street and they need a bicycle. I mean, I guess the trick is you can only do it for someone else, maybe not for yourself. That would be the good way to do it. Because let there be a bicycle for me, but let there be a bicycle for, and they can say it's for me as well. But we're all for each other. We'll be giving each other whatever everyone needs. So that's the God's love is to that extent that's the way the world will be. So, and the last line, he signs it, Achichem, your brother, Hamasur lachem, that is given over to you, that is dedicated to you, Bechol lev v'nefesh, with all my heart and being. Okay, so now this is piece. It's in the same category, but this piece was published in, I don't know which newspaper exactly, but he's saying, Mitoch ha'itonut achilonit shelanu, through our secular press. This is the chief rabbi of Israel writing to the irreligious, the secular, מתוך העיתונות החילונית שלנו, אני חפץ לדבר, I wish to speak על דבר קודש הקדושים שלנו. On this, the matter of this matter of our Holy of Holies, לדבר אל אחי, to speak to my brothers, שאהבתים כי נפשי, that I love like my own soul. I wish to speak to you about לדבר על קדושת השבת, about the holiness of Shabbat, על החובה האידיאלית שלנו, on our idealistic obligation to speak about the holiness of our Shabbat and our ideal duty, our ideal obligation, but it's idealistic obligation, לקדש את השבת בכל מושבותינו, to sanctify the Shabbat in all our dwelling places, that it will be a public, shared, the Kedushat Shabbat. And so there won't be stores, there won't be transportation, the way it is somewhat in some places now and totally in some places. But he's now speaking, let's put in a certain Shabbat collective behavior from this point on everywhere. That's what I want to speak to you about. Wait, do you see that black?
Yeah.
I see. So I have to, because that's in this screen, that's how I think I get put it in single. All right. Al Dvar, about our ideal obligation to sanctify the Shabbat. You also see that, I guess, right?
Yes.
In Bechol Moshvotenu, in all our dwelling places. And I want to speak to you about Al Dvar Ha'erech HaMeyuchad Shel Kiddush HaShabbat, about the special value of sanctifying the Shabbat. Michalelo po be'aretz tfiyatenu. How about the great value of sanctifying Shabbat so that it will not be desecrated, to sanctify it from the desecration here in the land of our revival. The English translation is a little bit off. He says, I want to share with you the importance of making sure that the Shabbat, the holiness of Shabbat, is not desecrated here in the land of our rebirth, renewal. Ubesha'a hagdola hazot.
It's such a hard balance to make, because if you have religious coercion, that's no good. And yet it needs to be seen to be coming from love.
He's saying you have to understand why this is so important to all of us and to you as well. I mean, let's see what he says, but he says, I want to, he's saying, but we have to understand that especially now, in this historical Sha'ah HaGdola Azot, in this historical, great historical hour, Sof Kol Sof, finally, Eze Ruach Meromem, there is a elevating, exalted spirit, Shel Tchiyah Leumit, of a national rebirth, Holech Venoshev Hu Bekirbenu, is moving forth and starting to dwell within our beings. U mi'achar sheba'Itonut Achilonit ani chafetz ledaber, and since I want to address the secular press, or through the secular press, hadavar muvan, it's certainly understood, shihineni zakuk lema'ech et koli, I have to soften my voice. I have to, it's not, I have an interesting comment to make. I have to soften my voice. Lo ledaber bekol chotzev lehavot kmodesh, and not to speak in a voice that is hewing flames of holiness, kmo shera'ui ve'kasher hadavar, as is actually fitting and proper to speak ledavar bo kisheba'im ledaber bo. It's really proper to relevant. It's appropriate to speak in these flames of holiness to something. Ledavar bo kisheba'im ledaber bo, to speak in this way. Kisheba'im la'asok, when we come to be engaged be'inyan kol kach kadosh v'ne'eratz, that is something that is so holy and important. Kol kach yesodi b'havayat omek nishmatenu ha'Israelit. It is so foundational, so fundamental to the very foundations. It's so foundational to the Havayat Omek Nishmatenu Israeli, to the very deep being of our Israelite soul. It's fundamental to the very depth of our Israelite soul, Kedushat-Shabbat, like the holiness of Shabbat. Shabbat is the fourth commandment. So it's right there, the fourth one. So you can sort of see that somebody from wherever they are could sort of appreciate this. They say, well, yes, it has been. He's putting that thought in a way, but in a way that somebody will hear it, rather than he's not preaching it at them. He's sharing his thoughts. So that sort of this is a funny line in a way. These flames speaking this in this inflaming way, זה נניח לדרשות של בתי כנסיות ובתי מדרשות. We'll leave that for the drashas in the Beit Knesset and the Beit Midrash. What's that? ולחיבורים מקצועיים, and to holy professional groups that this is what they do. But apam, but here nedaber dvarim ba'alei batim, will speak things, nedaber b'hem should be a bet, ba'alei batim, things that are sort of on the home level, speak words, ba'alei batim, krovim lesichat chulin, which is similar. I have to make the whole page a little bit tinier so they'll think. We want to speak, everyday sichat cholin. That's like a regular conversation, which, of course, for Rav Kook was it was unusual because of the level he was usually speaking on. But he continues. But it also shows his awareness of other people's experience and everything. He's really, because this is really out of love. The Afal Pi came, and because of that, the Ulai Dafka Mipnei Ken, and perhaps specifically because of this, Ani Rotze Lekavot, I wish to hope, Yavinu Oti, Eile Hashderot Shel Achenu Achavivim, that these avenues, these pathways of our beloved brothers will understand me, that I will be understood by the circles of our beloved brothers, to whom she'aleim ani mitkaven lifnot bedvari ele, that I wish to address with these words. She'ani mitkaven lifnot bedvari ele, she'im kol, that shitchiyutam, that with all their, shitchiyutam is superficiality, but I'm staying on the outside level. Hem yotzim mitoch halev hanishbar. These words, which I'm hoping will be understood by the people I'm turning to, that these words, with all their shitchiyutam, I guess externality, because it's going to be about keeping Shabbat publicly, externally. Perhaps that's the reference. It's all about external things that we want everybody to agree to share. With all their externality, hem yotzim mitoch halev hanishbar, they're coming forth from a heart that is broken ad letahom haneshama. Toch halev hanishbar ad letahom haneshama, from a heart, a broken heart that's from the very depths of the soul. He's speaking here as the Kohen Gadol, as Rav Kook, and there's a, yeah, all right. So now that he's introduced the thing, now he's going to say what he wants to tell them. Reshit kol davar. First of all, chafetz ani lehodia lekol achai. I want to make known to all my brothers El kol achenu, in the text I have is mi rachok umikarov, from near, from far and near. I want to inform them she'et, here it is, mi rachok umikarov, she'et hamatzav haruchani shel Achenu hayikirim, that the spiritual state the spiritual state of our brothers, our precious hayekarim ha'ele hatzi'irim, our precious young brothers, she'anachnu kovlim aleihem, that we are critiquing, complaining about, al davar pirtzat hadat, on this matter of breaching, I guess publicly breaching the religion, bebchinot yeduot, in known ways, ubeyechud, and especially be'inyan shel chilul Shabbat, especially in the matter of chilul Shabbat. I want to make it known to you that those of you that were complaining, I guess, they've been hearing complaints, but they've been hearing it from the anger and super critique. That's what he's referring to. I want to make known to you that to those of you that we've been complaining so much because of your breaching of the religion, and especially bedvar shel chilul Shabbat, especially to do with the matter of chilul Shabbat. Matzati, I found, achrei שתהייתי קצת על קנקנם הרבה. I found, I think שתהייתי קצת על קנקנם הרבה. I think that it's sort of like I sort of knocked on their, I checked in on their heads, something like that. I examined them a bit more closely. I found them harbe yoter tov veyoter ratzui, much better and more desirable, mima she'oleh haladat shel kol hele anashim hadanim otam. Then I found them to be much better people than what is in the minds of all those who are judging them. They're judging them and they're thinking awful things about them. And he says, when I met these people, these Shabbat desecrators, and got to know them, which again is another proof of the Holy Torah, the Rav Kook is an expressor of, because one of the primary laws of judgment is you have to base it on evidence. And so he went to know them and before judging. But so, to those of you that you've been critiqued and judged by all the religious, I want to make known that as I've come closer to come to know you ultimately, who he's addressing, I find you much better than what these people think. From all these people that are judging these young pioneers from mitoch ma'aseihem hagluyim, from their revealed actions. All they're judging is the revealed actions, and so therefore they think very badly. But when I see the souls of the people, haklal, generally, shel hatzair chalutz, the general character of the young pioneer, who maleh adinut, is full of refinement, sensitivity, hitlahavut ואידיאליות, enthusiasm, idealism, וגם עומק גדול של אמונה והרגשה דתית. And also a great depth of faith and religious feeling. You imagine the surprise of the people on both sides reading this. על פי תכונותיהם הפנימיות של חלוצינו ברובם. Generally, this is according to the inner character of the majority of our inner qualities of the majority of our pioneers. ברובם, in the most part. וציורנו בכלל, and all our youth, אינם רואים כלל לאותם המעשים, and generally it's not appropriate for them, these particular actions. They're not the type of people that want to hurt people, and they're not like doing it, they're not like cruel, evil. That's not, and yet they're doing it. He's saying, but they're not really, it's not even a fitting for who they are, for them to be doing this, but there's something going on. And for these actions which we are unfortunately, we have to likvol aleim. We can't just let it, we have to say something about it. So we say most of you are not just.
What does likvol mean?
To complain. Wow. Oh, I see. There's people. Everybody's still here, more or less. I went further, but this piece is finished in 2 paragraphs. So let's finish it if we're already in that way, because we have to complain about them. And then he says, Anashim ba'alei hakara. People who have awareness, the ba'alei she'ifa le'umit, and have national aspirations, alulim hem lahakir beha'aratza. They're quite likely to recognize with great enthusiasm, admiration, kama gadol v'niskav hu principa le'umi. How great and exalted is the national principle that we are a nation. Kol kach nisgav, it is so exalted. V'kol kach kadosh. It could be just okay. People of awareness and those who have national aspirations, they're quite likely to enthusiastically recognize how holy, how exalted, כל כך נשגב וכל קודש וכל כך עתיק וכביר, that is so ancient and holy, and powerful, כמו השבת לישראל. Those who have feelings of nationalistic, Israelite nationalism, they'll understand that there's the Shabbat, the national Shabbat of Israel, is something very extraordinary. As a national, is part of our character as a nation. V'lo rak beferhesia, and not only publicly, heim alulin lihimana mikol chilul Shabbat. Once they come to understand this, once I can make them we can make them understand this, how important Shabbat is publicly as an institution for the nation, they're also likely to refrain from all Shabbat desecration. It might actually bring them to bring it into their personal life. They're quite likely to discover, to uncover that their soul, a soul that is, שתיתן להם את הכישרון של קדושת השבת הפנימית, that will give them the ability, the capacity, the talent, and the desire for the inner sanctification of Shabbat. They'll be moved by that and inspired by it, and it'll speak to that part of their being. ההולכת עם נשמתו של כל אחד מישראל. That is part of the soul of everyone in Israel. השוכנת עמו בחדרי חדריו. That is dwelling within everyone in Israel in their innermost chambers. ועומדת כצל על ימינו, I guess, בכל פינותיו, and it's standing like a shadow, a shade on his right in every corner we're in, literally, bechol pinotav. But wherever we are, it's standing with us. Umemalato, and fills him with oneg adin, a refined oneg bliss, ve simchat chaim atzilit, and a joy. They don't have the chaim atzilit, but a joy for a refined life. They'll see that they really enjoy that. And okay, here I had an issue with how much it would translate. So it's only one paragraph. I'll translate it. It's easy Hebrew. I'll translate. This is the final paragraph, and then I'll read the translation, the complete translation. And therefore, given all that,
Yurgen is there in the boat. Go eat Yurgen.
no, I just can't hear clearly enough, right? All right. Bishvil she'ani batuach b'hakara zu, and since I am certain of this recognition, that you will be touched, you are holy souls, that are, all of you are good, the majority, and ultimately all of you. Ani poneh alechem, I turn to you, achi ahuvim, my beloved brothers, tziirim yekarim, our precious young people. Bechol matakom she'atem yoshvim, in every place where you are sitting, where you are dwelling. Bechol esek asher she'atem oskim, in every business and activity that you're engaged in. Be'arim, in the cities, ubemoshavot, or in the settlements, bechavot, in the farms, ubekvutzot, or in the kibbutzim, ve'kori ani lachem, and I am calling out to you mechadash, newly, I am newly calling out to you. Pretend you're hearing this brand new, et imrat Hashem ha'atika, the ancient divine speaking, shetishaer chadasha le'olamim, that it should remain new forever. And I made the letters larger here. In the print I have in here, it wasn't made larger in the newspaper article. But this is how he ended it. Zechor et Yom HaShabbat lekodsho. Remember the holy day to keep it holy. And so here's a translation. For this reason, with this conviction, I turn to you, my beloved brothers, dear young people, wherever you are, whatever work you're engaged in cities, settlements, farms, and collectives, I call to you quietly with the ancient command of Hashem, ever old and ever new. Remember the Shabbat day and keep it holy. Yeah, so that's quite. We'll stop here because we've gone way over time. But I mean, I'm sure people who intelligent, sensitive, spiritual, and many of them had a fairly strong religious education. Well, actually, no. I guess in Russia, that I don't know. It's not necessarily, and the Germans, not necessarily. It's hard to say. I can't say that accurately. But he was communicating to their souls, and their souls are the soul of an Israelite, and they particularly so because they're giving their entire lives to rebuilding Israel. It's not speaking to just a random group. These are a group by dint of their actions and what they're focused in on are doing the most important Israelite work of the time. And he wanted to infuse them with the holiness of Israel so that they would do that work with that integration, and then it will be so much more. So I want to bless us that we're able to bring this integration of action and soul to all of Israel. And then because I think isn't the Midrash when everybody keeps Shabbat, Mashiach steps in some way. So that's, when everybody keeps the inner Shabbat, that will be Mashiach. That Mashiach will be there. It's not even that's sort of
if every Jew keeps Shabbat for 2 Shabbats in a row, something's supposed to happen.
That's it, yeah. So first of all, I want to just thank you for letting me share this, because these are rare documents. And we also hear the voices of an incredible leader, incredible Israelite leader that the way I keep repeating, I told you the dream that he had from King Solomon asking for his help. So it's really on that level. He's here.
Tell us again. Remind us.
Rav Kook had dreams, and when he had significant dreams, he would tell Tzvi Yehuda, his son. But this one they particularly put in a book about Tzvi Yehuda, in a children's book about Tzvi Yehuda, that because Tzvi Yehuda popped up in the dream. And so Rav Kook in the morning, he came to this Rav and he said, yeah, I had this dream. What was the dream? That he had gone off to the court of King Solomon, where the Beit HaMikdash was built, was being enjoyed. King David prepared it, but King Solomon had the full thing, the shleimut. And in the dream, King Solomon turns to Rav Kook and asked for his siyua, his help, eitzah, advice on tikkun, kiyum v'tikkun mamlechet Israel, the establishment, the repair and establishment of the kingdom of Israel, mamlechet Israel. And in the dream, Rav Kook sat down immediately and wrote a long, detailed letter of advice for what Israel needs to do to establish and fix the Mamlechet Israel. And then just before, as he finished writing it, Tzvi Yehuda popped into the dream, and Rav Kook showed him the letter, just like he did with his daily writings. that he changed here and there before they went out. And he did that with this as well. And then it went out to King Solomon. And my understanding, the way I'm understanding from this is that that's the significance of his writings. He's giving us the understanding and guidance for what we need to do, must do, but not out of understanding, not out of force. We really need to understand this in order to manifest the rebirth of Israel and bring it to the complete physical and spiritual integration that will bring about all the nivuot of Geula v'Yeshua and through us for the entire world. It's on that level of significance.
Amazing.
So may it enter the world that powerfully and have such an impact. And may one day I can have a shiur with how many, 6 people? We had 60,000, and anyways, whatever. That's but thank you very much for just letting me share this, because it really is. There's nothing like it in the Torah Shabbat.
Thank you.
Is Rabbi Joe, you still there? Let's see. I guess not. Tomorrow night it will be a Beit Rav Kook, and we'll continue. Toda rabba, erev tov.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh tov מאוד, mamash. Yeah, we really have to do something chadash.
Yes.
לחדש את הישן, להיט.